Now in this video we will try to understand that how we can find the domain of composition of function. Now let's say, for example, here we can take any example that f of x is equal to any function. Here we can take let's say any arbitrary function. Let us take x. This is a very simple function. So let's say we have f of x is x and g of x is equal to square root of x minus 5. Let us say we have this function. So the question is, what is the domain? So in the same video we can clear two concepts actually. One, the domain, how we can find the domain of any function, and the other one, how we can find the composition of function. Now what is the domain of f circle g? So this is the composition of function f circle g. Also you can rewrite it like f of g of x in this way. So here we know that both functions are the function of x variable. You can write in either of the way, both are the correct. So how we can find the domain of this function? So first of all we need to find this function, and we know that what is this function by definition. This is equal to a new function h of x. There will be a new function h of x actually. And how you can find that function? You can simply take first g of x function as an input argument for f of x function. So that would be what function over here? G of x is actually square root of x minus 5. So this is g of x. Now what you need to find here, you can say that since g of x is square root of x minus 5, now what is f of x? F of x is x function, as you can see that. Now what we need to do, we need to replace x by g of x, because we need to find not for x, but now this time we need to find this function. And what would be this function? Now input argument is the whole function g of x. So we will just replace here in the above formula x with new variable, new function over here. So that would be this function. So that would be the same function x minus f, xf. So this is f of g of x, or you can say that f circle g is this function now. And now what is the domain of this function? Now we know that for finding the domain of this function, this is a square root function, and we should have this function inside the square root. This should be greater than or equal to 0. We will not take the negative number, because we know that if there is a negative number inside the square root, that would be imaginary number iota. So we will set that this should be greater than equal to 0. So now it is a inequality problem now, and you know that how you will solve the inequality. You need to solve this for the variable of x. You need to find the domain. So you will shift that 5 to the right side, and you will get this. Now this is the solution for this function. For this function, the domain will be x is greater than equal to 4. and in interval form you can write it 5 and infinity, as we know that the lower bound is 5 and it is equality here, greater or equal here, so that's why we will use here the close bracket. 5 itself is involved, included in this interval, and x could be any greater than number than this one, so that could be till infinity. But with infinity we know that what kind of now bracket we will use over here. So this is the domain for the F circle G, and how we can represent it on the number line. I hope now you can do it by your own, that how we can represent this on the number line. This is not difficult, let us do it. So maybe here, let us take here we have the 5, so this is the domain, 5 itself is included.